Mission 13, which is called Craft Creator, is the last mission on the field that has a model that is dual locked to the mat. So the remaining missions are just going to be loose pieces on the field. This is the last one that is affixed directly to the mat. So this model is directly beside the virtual reality artist, and it's more toward the east side of the field. So there are two pieces to here that we want to pay attention to. We want to make sure that we have, for the reset, that the light pink latch is lifted and that we have the orange push activator pulled completely outward, which is very similar to some others. And we also want to make sure that we have the creation is in the craft machine and the lid is closed. So there's three parts here. One is that we have the activator pulled all the way out, that we have the creation in the creator tool as shown, and that we have the lid closed. So we'll switch over to the field view to see how that looks. So here is this model when the lid is open. Make it a little bit more obvious see what we're doing. This is the piece they're talking about where we've got all these masterpiece logos, and we just want the masterpiece logos to be legible when we read it from this direction. So you just want to slide that in. It shouldn't attach to anything. It should just rest in that gap there. And it may take a little bit of fidgeting to get in, but you shouldn't have to force it. You shouldn't attach it to anything. It should be good to go. Now to get it to slide back into its original position, this little pink latch needs to be raised like that. It's very similar to the red latch that we saw on the 3D model on the very first mission 1. Once it's up like that, you can slide it. And what you're looking for is this orange bar, and you've got this activation line here. So as you're sliding it, this should come all the way out to that thin black line. And once you do, you'll be able to see the black beams here, and you'll be able to see this pulled all the way out like that. So once those two conditions are met, you'll just want to lower the lid to make sure it's closed. And now this model is in the starting configuration for this mission. And so we can see, looking at the document, that mirrors what we're seeing on the field. So once we're in that position, we can go and start looking at how this mission gets scored. So we're looking at mission 13, the craft creator. And again, there's only two scoring conditions here. The first is if the orange and white lid is completely open. And the second is if the light pink latch is pointing straight down. So there might be other things that happen to this model when you do these two things. But as always, the rule is what the rule says, not what the rule doesn't say. So as long as you're meeting these two criteria, you will get these points. It's 10 points to have the lid completely open, and it's 20 points to have the light pink latch pointing straight down. And these are not dependent on each other. You can do one or the other or both. So switching back to the field view, we'll start with the lid because it's probably the easiest to see. If I do that, that is not completely open. That would not earn any points because they use the word completely. When I do that, now it is completely open, and that would earn the full points. So pay very close attention to when the rules say things like entirely or completely. Now, in this case, it might be difficult to get it in that position, so you may not need to worry about it. But you do want to make sure you get it completely open to get the 10 points for that. Now, for the other points, you're going to be pushing, most likely will be pushing in this orange activator, but there's no reason you have to do it that way. You could bump on this part here. You could pull on the purple frame. There's a lot of options here for how you can do this. What they're looking for is this latch right here, as soon as it gets far enough out, should fall and be pointing down. There's not a lot of wiggle room there for it to be pointing, but you want to be very careful that you don't get something wedged up under here and cause it to be pointing off to the side. So let's see if I was able to do that. Yeah, so that, by my reading of the rule, would not count for points because it's not pointing straight down. It is pointing down at an angle. So this may be a very tricky set of points to get because that pointer may be a little finicky. It may be difficult to get to point straight down. So the first 10 points of this are fairly easy. It's the last 20 points that may be more difficult. But again, pay close attention to how the rules are worded and what they say you have to do versus what just kind of happens as you do it. There's nothing in this that says I have to use that orange activator, so I don't have to use the orange activator. There's nothing that says I have to take anything out of this model. All that's required is that pink latch is pointing straight down to get the 20 points, and that the white lid is completely open to get the other 10 points. So that is mission 13, the Craft Creator, which is worth a total of 30 points.